Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I have something a little bit different for you, which is actually a little bit of a development update on one of the projects that I have in the pipeline, which is a BODYCAM installed map, as you can see. And as you may notice, I am actually not alone here today for today's video, so I am joined by my good friend Saint Vertigo, who is one of the core members of the team working on the project. Vertigo, did you want to say hello?
Hello.
How you going?
I am chilling. We got some deep dive on some dev talk about our little project going on here.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting and a little bit weird because this is the first time I'm actually jumping into it with a second person. I'm pretty sure. I don't think we've actually jumped into it together before. So I'm seeing the impacts of the third person on this one here, like the running and stuff. It's always funny a little bit. Yeah,
it's a little goofy. Hopefully we can try to get that sorted out. I want to do some good third-person animations, as these ones are really not suited for slower movement.
Yeah. Nah, look, it's obviously a work in progress, and you know that's sort of what we're here to talk about today, guys. So yeah, ultimately this is going to be a little bit different to the traditional video that you'll see from me posting. So this is talking a bit more behind the scenes of a map that is currently still in progress of being worked on. So we're just going to talk through a little bit about the story concept, the mechanics, obviously what type of gameplay features we're looking at, what we've done with the sound design, as you can sort of see here with the prison alarms so far. And just bear in mind that everything that we do discuss here today, guys, it is all in progress. So this is all subject to change, and it's obviously not going to be perfect at this point in time either. Okay. But yeah, we just wanted to sort of shed some light on it, let you guys see what we've been working on, and yeah, you guys can obviously ask questions in the comments and we'll answer them to the best of our ability as well. So with that all in mind, what we'll do is, because the map doesn't actually have a sense of progression right now, we can just sort of wander about freely. We will be a little bit attached at the hip, so Vertigo, I don't know if there's anywhere you would like to sort of start here, but we might just sort of kick off with talking about the story setting and things like that, and then sort of we can dive into what your objective was with developing the BODYCAM system and sort of implementing that into this project, if you're cool with that.
Yes. Right now we're gonna go turn off the alarms so you don't hear a blaring sound over the audio here, but
yeah.
Then we'll talk about the story part.
See if Vertigo knows the way.
It's this way. I did play through this. I ran around a couple of times to get the feel of it.
Yeah.
We just implemented the flashlight, which I've been trying to get working nicely. Try to make it as realistic as possible.
Yes, and one thing I've noticed as well, and what you guys are seeing on screen right now, this isn't sort of the final version of the flashlight on my end. So Vertigo, I don't know how much more of the flashlight you need or want to work on. Like, I don't know if the version you've given me is the final version, but with the side of it that Vertigo's working on it, it's a lot like the stops or the brightness of the flashlight are different on his end than they are mine. So I'm still in the process of figuring out the brightness and how much it amplifies the light in the room. So it may still look a little bit sort of dull in this version, but it's enough that you guys can sort of get a vibe for what we're going for.
And I still definitely need to fix the third person flashlight, as it looks a little weird. It's coming towards the feet.
Yeah, that's all right though. And look, one thing for this project is, like, we will obviously cater it to, you know, more than one player, but it is, I would say it's probably designed best as a solo experience, but we're not going to cater it to solo specifically. You just get a bit of a better feel for what the ambience and the story and everything is going to be going for there. But yeah, we'll obviously work on those things too. We do have a few zombies here as well. So that the zombies are spawning, they're just going to come to us very slowly, which will sort of touch on the speed of the zombies and stuff a little bit later in the video here. But yeah, in terms of the story, so in case you haven't picked up on it, it is the prison from The Walking Dead. And Vertigo had sort of reached out to me initially some time ago when I started my Discord server. Just about sort of collabing on a project, because he'd obviously been working on the BODYCAM behind the scenes, and I guess he was sort of interested to work with a couple of different creators to implement that mechanic into different styles of maps. And I was already at this point in time quite heavily into development on my internment remaster. And yeah, like I said, look, the body cam would actually be a really cool sort of idea for the prison, and not just for the Walking Dead prison realistically, but any prison. But because I was working on it, yeah, I was just like, it'd be really cool to sort of do a body cam style Walking Dead map where you're not playing in the era of the Walking Dead TV show, like with Rick and everything. Like you're actually playing in this particular story, you're playing at the start of the outbreak. So a lot of what you'll see here, the prison's not as dilapidated. It's not as sort of, it hasn't fallen as much. So it is meant to be sort of post riot. And during the initial outbreak, where you will ultimately play as a riot member or a guard within the prison. So a lot of those elements are still yet to be captured, but you'll see it's less livable and actually more prison like. But yeah, that was sort of my direction with it. And then yeah, Vertigo obviously has been working on the body cam. So I don't know, did you want to sort of talk through what your vision and your goal was for the body cam, like how you wanted to approach it, what you wanted to achieve with it?
Yes. A while back, I collabed on a map for a contest for a NOAA G456 contest.
Mm-hmm.
And me and someone named Muffled, we made a map called John Parker, which some of you might know. We put that was the first implementation of the body cam, and we used like very little knowledge just to quickly get it done for the contest. And that was just pretty much just a work in progress. And my vision for it is to make it as scary and horrifying as possible, and trying to make a different experience than what Black Ops 3 usually can handle.
Yeah, for sure. And the people that have sort of, I guess, seen the body cam, whether it be through footage of my map or footage of other maps that you're working on, because I know you've got a couple of different things in the pipeline. A lot of the feedback has sort of been a resounding like, holy fuck, I didn't realize this was Black Ops 3 at first. And you don't notice that, especially like you notice a bit more now when we're playing with two people, because obviously there's like that whole element of seeing a third person, like with the body outline and everything like that. You get that vibe that it is Black Ops 3, but when you're playing solo and you don't sort of have those HUD elements, it really does feel like a completely different game.
Speaking of the HUD, we want to make it minimalistic as possible, but we are going to add most likely like an ammo counter, like little tiny things that will just make it feel like you're still playing a game.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the trickier things to approach for us as well right now is like, if you take the sort of the premise of the body cam, it's ultimately not like in real life, it's not going to have anything on it aside from, like the serial number and bloody the battery life and stuff like that. And, when making the body cam in a body cam style map or game even, you want to try and replicate that best you can, but you also need to factor in like that this is a game and people are going to need and want to know like how much ammo they have, what sort of perks or buffs or boons do they have, what is their objective for the map or for the story. So it's little things like that we're still working on figuring out. And I apologize in terms of like the gameplay footage right now. Like it is just going to be a bit of a walk around as we talk. We'll kill some zombies here and there so you guys can see what it's like and sounds like. But yeah, there won't be much visually to look at aside from just sort of getting a feel for how it looks and the movement and everything like that. We will do some showcasing of the gun sounds and stuff too. I just don't want to drown out any of our talking over one another, but we will come to that shortly enough. But yeah, like so you mentioned that you've obviously been working on the body cam stuff for some time now, with the John Parker being one of, if not the first iterations of it. So how many times would you say you've sort of revised, the movement or the filter, the shaders, how I don't really know the terminology as much as you probably do, but yeah, do you want to sort of talk about that and sort of how it's been, I guess, getting it to the point it's at now?
I could say that a lot of people complaining about the zombies moving a lot quicker than the player, which is definitely hard, and that is like true. So I wanted to redo the zombies and make them more balanced to how the player movement is, but I still want to make it a bit scary. So we might have like different zombie variants where we would have different types of zombie variants. We will have like zombies that'll come running at you. Hopefully make it scary as hell, and most of the zombies will be slow, and they will still be like your player movement speed, but they won't really catch up as much as they did in John Parker.
Yeah, gotcha. Because I think, and that was a bit of a testing ground as well at that point in time, but it was very evident that it was extremely rushed. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even, I mean, you would obviously know if it was rushed more than I would, but just sort of having seen gameplay of it, like, the movement of the player and the body cam system is obviously its own separate thing, but then if you factor in the way that the zombies move, as you were mentioning, like they move in their completely own way. And so like it is important, obviously, that the AI for the map and for future projects as well, whether it's with me or anyone else, that the zombies do sort of match that, and it is balanced in a sense. So you've spoken about it a little bit briefly, and this isn't something that we've dived too much into just yet, but in terms of sort of the enemy types for the map, so I'm obviously a hardcore Walking Dead fan, and you yourself, you've recently come off sort of watching the series for the first time in its entirety. We've sort of come to the realization that in the Walking Dead universe, there are actually variants of zombies, which wasn't really prominent when I first started making maps based on the Walking Dead.
Yes.
Walking Dead zombies were just like they walked or they crawled, and that was it. But sort of as you progress into those later seasons, even though they're not present in the earlier seasons, such as in season 3 of The Walking Dead during the prison arc, technically they exist in the lore of the world. So that does give us a bit of flexibility in that sense to, I guess, play with sort of different enemy types. So I don't know if you've got anything noted down, but did you have any sort of ideas or concepts for different AI types for the project, or did you want to keep that sort of under wraps a bit more? Keeping in mind, I haven't finished The Walking Dead, funnily enough, so I don't know too much about the variants. You might be a little bit more across sort of what they are. I only know what I've seen from like text documents and stuff like that.
We could bring just a bit of those variants into here and see how well that performs. And if anything, we can provide like an update to this map, bringing even more variants.
Yeah, for sure.
But for now, we can keep it simple, as in just walkers and crawlers and just some runners.
I would say as well, for me, like I'd very much love to try and replicate that vibe of when Rick and the gang initially take the prison and they come across like those riot zombies for the first time. Like
the riot zombies as well.
Yeah, I know a lot of people sort of, give maps and map creators a hate for having armored zombies. Like people don't like armored zombies, just because ultimately it's a zombie that has more health, right? But
yes,
for a project like this where we are very much going for realism in a world that is, I guess, grounded to have zombies in it, it would make sense to me that a zombie wearing armor is tougher to kill, right? And a good example of that, whether or not we implement this sort of feature, I don't know, but a good example of that would be, if a zombie has riot gear on, such as a riot helmet, realistically you shouldn't be able to headshot it, right? But then comes into the equation, okay, well, how do we go about killing it if technically a hit to the brain or damaging the brain is what effectively kills a zombie, but if you can't damage the brain, how do you go about doing it? So I would probably say that maybe something similar to the Brutus, in the sense of you have to knock the helmet off first, might be good, and then you can kill them. But again, this is all very much like still in progress for us in terms of the discussion. But yeah, I'm keen to sort of explore the variance ideas and see what we might be able to implement into the map.
For sound design, we can probably show it off in the video. We'll have Brodes just walk around and give you the idea of the atmosphere around this map that we've already implemented.
So the big thing, and I'll get you to talk about the ambient rooms because you understand them better than I do. But the map does feature ambient rooms, which are very little utilized in the world of custom zombies. But ultimately, I guess the premise of that is, when you're in a certain space, the way that sounds react within that space are realistic to the room. But I'll get Vertigo to touch a bit more on that from a technical standpoint. But yeah, I'll show you guys a little bit of what we're referring to. You know, the gun sounds is one of them, but a great example of it is actually the boiler room. So not this room here, but the next one down. So just passing through, so if you just sort of listen as we pass through. So you've got like the vents, fans, you know, bits of steam. Creaking and clanging, all that sort of stuff, and then even just like the shots as well. So all of that sort of stuff is ultimately what we're aiming to achieve and pull off throughout the entirety of the prison. And there's some more examples of that in sort of like the, I guess, the tomb or the maze component of the prison. So I'll showcase that in a little bit. But did you want to sort of talk through the ambient sounds a little bit more?
I wanted to bring in the most realistic gunshots I can like pull off in this game. Like let's say when we're indoors we would shoot, it would give the sound of like we're actually shooting indoors. And same thing with outdoors, you would be shooting outdoors, you'd be hearing a lot of like reverb and good occlusion when you're behind a wall, or just anything audio sense wise, really.
For sure, and I'm noticing that as well. Like there's obviously some parts of the map that are not yet finished in terms of the ambient rooms.
Yes.
So you may notice that through the video here and there, but ultimately majority of the interior is done, but we do just need to tweak a few of the ambient sounds and stuff like that. So that's all still in progress, but that's been fun because it's not something that I've actually dabbled in before. So it wasn't until I sort of partnered up with Vertigo here that I was actually able to... Oh, that gun's missing a texture, it looks like, on the scope, which is odd. Yeah, the ambient rooms is not something that I'd really dabbled in before, so this is all new to me, figuring this out, and it's something that I'm sort of taking forward on projects already. So in the C Block survival map that I released, I used those same ambient rooms, so that's the first project where I'm actually using that. And it just adds such a nicer quality to the overall map, I find. So very appreciative of you for introducing me to that, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to walk my way over this way. Just while I'm thinking of it, one thing that you guys might have seen as we're sort of walking around the map here is that we do actually have interactive doors. So the door system and the progression system in this map will be very, very different to classic zombies. A little bit more, you know, Modern Warfare zombies or whatever, like those mechanics from the sort of more recent COD games. I'm still yet to figure out exactly how the progression is going to work, so it'll mostly be puzzles, is my understanding, or sort of what I envision.
Yep.
But yeah, but we're still in the very early stages of getting that sorted, so we're coming up with ideas. You know, some of these features may be a little bit clunky right now, but they suffice for sort of what we're trying to pull off. So do you want to talk us through a little bit more about would you call it an overlay, or like the shader? I don't really know the technical term for it, but the sort of
overlay shader.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, is that
shader overlay?
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, shader overlay. Either word don't really matter.
So just for those who aren't sort of, I guess, familiar with the lingo, explain what it is that we're referring to.
So this is just an overlay on the screen where you can have like a sort of fisheye effect to give as off, like if it's a camera. It's more of a head cam than a body cam, or because the gun position is set more lower. I didn't want to have it set kind of underneath the gun because it would kind of ruin a lot of your perspective. So I would say it's just more of a head cam.
Yeah.
I got this idea off of Unrecord, which looked extremely realistic, and it really blew my mind. Now I really thought of it like, what would look like in like zombies. What if like Call of Duty had it? It would be super sick.
Yeah, and one thing I love about it as well, especially in the sort of the tomb parts of the prison, which is where I am currently, is just like the way that, and this isn't the shader specifically, but just the body cam mechanic overall, the way that you've sort of worked the guns to sort of turn with the player as opposed to a very static sort of, turn movement, which sort of comes with the core game. So I find that paired with that, so the shader or the overlay paired with the actual movement of the weapons feels so good.
Yes, I really wanted to make it feel different, as the guns, just in regular like BO3, they feel like super stiff, but I wanted these guns to feel more dynamic and feel more like you're in the game. These guns are going to be very much modified for this body cam stuff. The name for the body cam is going to be, it's called Kill Feed, which I'm going to use as the main name for any other like camera style type maps that people want to put in.
So is this, correct me if I'm wrong, and we can obviously cut this out as well if not, but correct me if I'm wrong. So is your intention to work on other maps implementing this, or are you ideally looking to turn this into a mod of sorts, or like what's your thoughts there?
Well, I do want to work on a mod so people can play it on any map, but there's going to be specific maps that are going to be fully supported and that are going to have their own unique type of gameplay embedded in them. And
I think it's sort of a not so much a segue, but I guess it's a good opportunity, or a better opportunity as any. So in terms of like the name for the project, so you've obviously mentioned that, for you at least, future projects will sort of don that name of Kill Feed, right? So this particular project, whilst it does sort of fall under that umbrella, unless I'm mistaken, this particular project, so we've dubbed it as Lockdown, but we've sort of dubbed it as a more or less of a Walking Dead franchise related project. So it sort of falls under the title of, the Walking Dead Lockdown, and that is the name of the project. But for all intensive purposes, it is under that same bracket or umbrella as the Kill Feed series, which, Vertigo will be working on with a bunch of different creators, again, as far as I understand. So I know that you've been working on another project. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all.
Yes, that'll be for another time.
For another time? Not a problem.
Still work in progress.
Yeah, cool. All right, so we'll leave that one. I mean, that might even be something that you can discuss on Throwing Mods podcast or something like that. Who knows? Or you might do a video with that creator, whoever's working on that with you. Okay. So we'll stick exclusively to this particular project. But if you guys have sort of additional questions about the body cam mechanic, again, like, you can always drop those in the comments as well, or just reach out to us on Discord. I'm sure that either of us will be happy to answer what we can. In terms of this particular map though, so like I said, it is the prison from The Walking Dead. Now, one of the sort of key call outs is, I guess, the scale or the size. So everything that you have seen so far on my recording or my walkthrough is all intended to be playable. Now, in terms of being able to access certain areas, it's going to be a matter of like puzzles, like I mentioned. So there'll be certain objectives in order to get to that point. So very much like Resident Evil is kind of how I envision it. Where, you might have access to an area in general early on, but you can't actually get into this particular room until you've done this thing first. So it will be very much more of like a less round-based, more, I guess, story puzzle-driven experience. Would you say that's fair to say, or pretty accurate?
Yes, that is very accurate. And talking about it just makes me feel so excited to see this when it's finished.
Yeah. And I think for me as well, and this stems back to when I initially started with the mod tools, but this for me is ultimately serving more as an experience than anything else. And I would probably assume that that's going to be the case for a lot of the BODYCAM inspired projects. But for me, like, I want this to feel like more of a Walking Dead experience, but not exclusively tied to the events of the TV series. So it's just based on the same location from the TV series. But ultimately, the story that we're telling will be all completely brand new, custom, like all all designed and created from our own minds, essentially. I fucking love the sound of the gun just like echoing through the valley. Sounds so good.
Oh yeah.
I do really like this sort of field. It's obviously very different to Internment when I initially first attempted this map. Not the bodycam map, but the prison itself. And, you know, we're using the BO6 foliage that Mad Gaz was able to release, and it just does so much more for the project. Like, I was using some of the stock assets or the assets I already had, and like it looked good, but it did feel very gamey, I suppose. Whereas now, like using this foliage paired with the body cam, like it just looks so much better. Like if I just sort of walk through the grass here.
Something I would like to add is that I would want to try to make the body cam like toggleable, so people who like have like motion sickness or something would be able to toggle it off and still enjoy the experience.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good idea, because I have that with my Telltale map that I put out with the cartoon shader. I was able to get a toggle feature on that, and people liked having that option, so that makes sense. That's fair. I would say, what was I going to say?
Spit it out.
It would be interesting to sort of see how it plays, or how it feels without it. Like for this particular project anyway, that is. And like
we could test it out right now, actually.
We could.
No clip into the water. We'll just remove the effect.
Yeah. Maybe towards the back end. Can you re-enable it? I don't actually know. I don't think you can right now.
Yeah, if I fast restart, yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll leave it for the moment, but like it is a good, I guess, point to bring up that, you know, whilst I'm sure we'll implement that feature by the time this map is actually released, I am actually working on 2 versions of this map, so one being the body cam experience and then the other is actually the Internment remaster. So for anyone who is looking for more of a classic zombies experience, the Internment remaster should satisfy that need. Hey, that's not realistic. Where are you going? Get back down here. Yeah, so I've got those 2 projects, and ultimately what you're seeing here is the exact same prison layout and everything like that you will see in that map. Obviously the core differences will just be the way that it's navigated and played. So yeah, we are working on some hopefully some new zombie models too. So right now these are the mob zombies that have been reskinned slightly. So I've had them retextured by Ronan. Ronan was the individual who worked on the artwork for Die Rise. So I was really, really grateful and appreciative of him to sort of get that underway for me. Not a significant change. It just reskins it from black and white to a sort of blue with some it's like a light blue with a deeper blue stripe on it. And then on the back, it actually has the words correctional. So it's just done to mimic the show a bit more. But we are exploring the, see you flying around. We are exploring the option of new zombies, so not from not the Walking Dead, not from the Call of Duty series, and ultimately a nice variety so that it feels like as realistic as we can possibly get it, in the sense of, you know, it's not going to be achievable to say this, but as close to there being no repetitive zombies, right? Like you want to, I like the idea of sort of every zombie looking different. It would be not impossible, but close to get that to happen, because you would need a fuck ton of zombies or a fuck ton of zombie models. So it won't be that extensive, but a good variety, so much so that, you know, maybe every 5-10 zombies are different. That would be my goal, but yeah.
You want to talk about the perk system?
The perk systems. So the concept is still very early in progress, but what I sort of picture is very similar to Skir Ritual, for anyone who's played Skir Ritual. So it'll be more, sorry, should I say it'll be less perk machines, more perk equipment kind of thing. So like as an example, you take Juggernaut or Juggernog as an example, where rather than buying the drink and getting the extra health, you actually find an armor vest, or you find riot gear or something like that, where basically it makes sense as to how you would be taking less damage. That's sort of how I envision it. However, we are still toying with ideas. So one of the other one of the other ideas that we've got cooking for that is very similar to like The Last of Us, which is in order to obtain the perks, or otherwise known as skills, you have to find a manual or a book of some kind, and that actually allows you to adapt that skill. And therefore, as a result, you can then upgrade that sort of perk or that skill to alter and change as you sort of upgrade it. So that's where the Sker ritual mechanic sort of comes into play, where as you progress through the gameplay, you would earn, tokens or skill points or whatever you want to call it, and you can use that to sort of upgrade your skill tree as you see fit. That's sort of what I envision. I don't really know, I guess, the realm of possibility that falls under. Like, I don't know how viable it is. From what I've been told, it all seems pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. But yeah, that's sort of what I would envision. I don't know if you had any alternative or additional ideas for what you sort of envisioned for it, Vertigo?
No, I pretty much love the idea of what Brodes had thought of, and the idea of like giving, instead of like perks, it would be like these kits you would get, and you would have to like kind of upgrade them to pretty much not be at the figgle bottom of the barrel.
We don't want to be at the figgle bottom of the barrel, that's for sure. But yeah, like I felt like we want it to be not familiar, but we want it to be sort of simple enough that it makes sense for people, because coming into a project that strays so far from what zombies is, especially when you're making it within, the zombies mode, we want to make sure that it's sort of clear to players off the bat as to how that system is going to work. So we're still sort of fleshing out the details of that concept, but that is the general premise. So in a nutshell, you'll be able to obtain the perks as you progress, as you would with perks in Call of Duty Zombies, but rather than sort of getting the benefit of that perk off the bat as you buy it, you can develop that perk sort of as you continue to progress, and that allows for a sort of different sense of replayability. I guess with the fact of Dire Eyes having come out and the whole sort of data saving concept sort of coming to light, we haven't really sort of looked into that possibility or anything like that yet. So I can't say with any sort of, I guess, clarity as to whether or not it would be something where as you progress, you can save it and then come back into it and you've got those benefits next game. I would probably think not. I would probably like to think that you come in and you start fresh every time. But if that sort of appeals to the masses, then look, we may consider something like that. Very, very hard to say, but that's the direction we're going with it. And if you guys have any suggestions on ways that, we could sort of spin that, make it better, flesh it out more, let us know. We're definitely happy to sort of take on that consideration, because whilst we do have a team of, say, 5-6 people sort of working on different things, all opinions and perspectives are always nice and they are always welcome as well. I guess we can sort of delve a little bit more into the atmosphere kind of things. Now, I know that you've sort of made it quite clear in our server for the project as to trying to bring more of a horror element to the map. Now, I would probably throw this to you more so being not your niche necessarily, but this is sort of like a big ticket item that you want to get done and you want to see come to the project. So I don't know, did you have any ideas as to what sort of horror elements either you have in mind or things that you've experienced in other games that you'd sort of try and like to incorporate into the project at all?
Well, I like, I have recently finished playing Outlast, and the idea of having no guns, just trying to run away is definitely a terrifying experience. So at some point I would like to have just like, take your guns away and then you have to run away from like a horde or a scary, really scary running zombie. Something like that. Yeah.
I think that the tunnel system, the tomb, like I don't know what you technically call it. For people who are watching, it's where I am right now. So it's just like the series of sort of tunnels that have interior cells and things like that. And it's a bit of a maze to get through. I think having something in the way of a horror aspect or a horror elementation in this part of the prison would go really hard. Especially if it was something like you mentioned where you lose your gun and you have to sort of get back through it kind of thing. I think something like that would work really well here, particularly, especially if it's in the scenario of it's your first time coming into the map, or like into this part of the map, should I say? Like, I could imagine you have to, I don't know, maybe you navigate your way from point A to point B of this sort of like little maze, and as you get right to the end at point A, then something comes at you, right? And that's what causes you to lose your gun, and you have to backtrack all the way back through and obviously try and remember which way you came from. I think something like that would work really well, but I just don't know how, I don't know how like it would be achieved. Like, I don't really know, like it would require custom animations to, lose the gun. You'd obviously have to figure out like the scripting as to, okay, you don't have a gun now, like, how do you get it back, sort of thing. Like there's so many things for us to consider with regards to the way that the progression works within the game, because things like the mystery box and stuff like that, they're not necessarily going to be prominent in this project. Like, you'll have a way to earn or obtain better weapons, but it'll be through a progression system, right? As opposed to just sort of walking up to a wall by and getting the gun, or going up to the box and getting a gun. Like, you have to earn the weapons as you progress through the story of the map. So yeah, the horror element, we need to consider carefully, I would say, with respect to the rest of the mechanics of the map and the story, I would say. But definitely on the same page and agree with you that it would be really cool to implement, something like a chase sequence, or a sequence where, maybe it's similar to a lockdown where you're in like a bit of a boss fight, limited weapons, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
Even something like having the power shut off and all the lights going off would be really cool. Make better utilization of the flashlight. That might be something. Did you want to talk a little bit more about the weapon design? Because sort of as I'm playing here and I'm just sort of not noticing, but like I'm just sort of remembering how, the ADS system works different and things like that. Like it is very much like you're relying on your hand-eye coordination in a sense to try and make sure you're hitting the zombies. Did you want to talk through the weapon development and how you've sort of altered it?
As you see from some of the gameplay Brodes has been giving you, the guns have cool movement with the aim, where you kind of point shoot, but you don't really have to utilize this as it goes back to the like center position. But wherever you aim, the bullet will go towards that direction. And as for the damage, this has not been worked on yet, but we are going to be experimenting with trying to get it to maybe headshots only, or it'll be a lot harder to kill them when shooting the body.
Yeah, so be like the weapon damages will vary depending on the body part that you're shooting, sort of thing. I'd say. Yeah.
We will probably try to be getting some play tests to see what works and what doesn't. And to see how some people feel about how the game, and to see how like some people feel about how the gameplay works.
Yeah, it definitely won't be for everyone. Got a bung model here. It definitely won't be for everyone, and that's why I really want to sort of reiterate that, like, if this style of gameplay isn't for you, then, like, at least in my case, don't stress it, because again, there's going to be a core classic zombies version of this map anyway. But for those of you that it does appeal to, like, we obviously want to make sure that it's, I guess, as fleshed out as possible. Whilst I'm handling majority of the mapping, or all the mapping, should I say, and Vertigo's handling more so the weapon tweaking and the body cam aspect and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we will definitely open it up for sort of, I guess, beta testing, if you would, to get that feedback. Although I guess that feedback will probably be more, that feedback will likely need to be more closely considered under your view, being the one who's sort of deving that stuff. I just went and got myself another gun so I can sort of showcase what it's like. So yeah, if you're looking at the movement, this is like side to side, and the gun sort of comes with me a little bit. It's sort of in like a bit of a hip fire stance, and then if your ADS, again, because if we're talking a body cam, right, the way that you really use a gun, the gun is going to come up to your eye level if you're aiming down the sight properly. And the way that that sort of works with, I guess, the whole body cam premise, I suppose doesn't really make sense. And so we wanted it to feel, again, as minimalist in terms of the HUD and everything like that. So no crosshairs and everything like that. Yeah, it's very, very clean or less invasive. So the less sort of stuff sort of filling up the center of your screen, the better. And I find that having the, the very minimal aiming down of sights contributes to that. Got a bit of muzzle smoke there as well, which is nice. Actually,
yeah,
something that's really cool is the ray tracing thing, right? Or I don't know if that's what you call it, but the glowing. What do you call that?
That would be the heat of the bullet.
Yeah. Is there a technical term? I can't remember what you call it.
I can't think of a term for it.
I don't think maybe it's bullet tracing, or I think maybe bullet tracing is like when the bullet itself is looks like a laser. But you guys can see what we're talking about. So like when you shoot, the glow of the bullet's impact sort of stays, and you've got smoke coming out of it as well. Because I think the smoke coming out of it is custom, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that stuff is really cool, and it's all those sort of finer details. It's not on every gun yet, as far as I know. I think it's just on a couple of the ARs, right?
Yeah. But we will get the other guns.
So still in progress. There's not actually going to be many guns for this map. So we are keeping it realistic to, I guess, what guns would more or less be accessible in a prison. So I think there's maybe like six guns in total.
Yep.
So we wanted to keep that minimalist, and again, we figured that the sort of small amount of weapons shouldn't matter too much, in the sense of the zombies aren't really progressively getting sort of faster and stronger as they do in core zombies. I don't really know, have we spoken on, or like, whether it's on the video or not, but have we spoken about the way that the zombies sort of progress in their own right? Like, do we have any thoughts on whether they will scale up in damage and difficulty, or?
They could potentially get faster, like extremely slowly, to make it more challenging.
Yeah.
Or we can just make them do a bit more damage, and you'll have to utilize your perks well.
Yeah. It's not something that we've sort of fleshed out. Again, this is all still very early in development. Like, the majority of what's been happening for this project has been me doing the mapping and Vertigo doing the weapon and the body cam design. So all of the sort of concepts for the features and mechanics of the project beyond those things are all in discussion. So we've got like our bullet points, we've got the ideas and things sort of written out. We haven't yet sort of got those things underway in terms of scripting and all that sort of stuff. I would probably think, depending on which way we go with the zombie AI, so whether we are implementing different AI types, that would likely be the way that the zombies progress in difficulty. So maybe, for lack of a better term, say the first 5 rounds, as an example, were all zombies, and then after round 5, it introduces a variant of zombies that come in occasionally. And then as it progresses, more and more difficult zombies sort of get introduced to the mix to make that gameplay more difficult. I don't know yet, though. So because we've obviously sort of spoken a little bit about the pacing of the zombies being slow in their walk. I don't want it to feel too slow overall, but yeah, I don't know. Still yet to be confirmed and determined. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have any further ideas on that one so far. Because again, so far I've really just been coming in to test weapons and body cam and flashlight, so I haven't got as far as actually feeling out the gameplay side of things yet.
Yeah. As for player movement, I'm definitely gonna restrict the basic Black Ops 3 like bunny hop where you slide and jump.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the only part of the movement so far that it's still like stock, right?
Yes.
Oh, and I think
I'm gonna
grenades
see if I can.
Well, when you're running with a grenade.
I'm gonna see if I can reduce the slide speed.
Yeah.
Also reduce the slide distance. To make the move. I still kind of want sliding just to give a little bit more movement choices.
Yeah, for sure. Because especially if we're going realistic, like you still want to be able to prone, to crouch, slide, all that stuff, because realistically you can do those things in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing with the weapon recoil. Let's just say if you're standing up, you're shooting, your recoil is going to kind of go everywhere. But if you're crouching, your recoil is going to be a little bit more steadier.
Oh, yeah. I haven't actually noticed that. As in, like, I haven't tested it.
Yeah.
I guess because I'm very rarely crouching, to be honest. I'm gonna go this way. This is so this particular part of the prison here, like the in between the fences. I don't know if this will be playable yet. Only reason I say that is because by doing so, it means we need to develop that whole sort of backside over there. So I'll make it playable at the very least up until the inner fence line. But I don't know about this particular thing. In terms of where, like, how the map sort of starts off in my head, I'm sort of thinking, okay, well, it's during the initial outbreak, like the riots have sort of, you know, just commenced or they are commencing. And so for me, I'm sort of leaning towards the pocket of you sort of start upstairs in like a guard's room or something. And then you have to sort of, you know, figure out your way around the prison with, you know, certain mechanics or features sort of preventing you from progressing. But I am actually currently considering whether it would be a cool idea to actually start in like one of the guard towers or something, and maybe work with someone like Dingus or even yourself actually to do some like script bundles or some custom animations or whatever, where maybe you're up in the tower and you can see, you know, guards getting eaten in the distance or, you know, prisoners rioting or some shit like that. I think that would be cool, but again, that's one of those things I have to consider with regards to the gameplay. It's like, okay, well, if I'm out here, then what need is there for me to go into the prison to come back out here, sort of thing. So I think where I'm leaning is that from a story perspective, you start in the prison and you're working your way sort of out to the front and finding a way to get like the main gates back powered and stuff like that. So the story or the quest itself isn't fully fleshed out either yet. We've got ideas as to, you know, what puzzles achieve what things. And I think ultimately where I'd like to go with it is something to the effect of getting the main gates powered back up and basically getting out of the prison alive. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have any ideas or if you've sort of had any sort of concepts that you wanted to toy with for the story side of things.
It'll definitely be cool to have nice little scripted moments to get a different like game feel, to make it feel like it's a completely different game.
Something else as well that I was thinking of was something else that we'd sort of spoken about earlier on in development was, I guess, like the hit and the down system. Oh, crap. Look, the hit and the down system. It's so hard to run away, like when you're getting like swiped and everything, because your player movement's so, hey, we're a team here. Your player movement's so slow that you can't sort of run away in a hurry. But one of the ideas that I think we'd sort of toyed with for the down system and the hit system was to the effect of the red screen. So rather than it being a red screen, something that actually impacts the body cam. And I'm actually just thinking of this now. Something that might be cool would be to have like a static effect. Might be a cool idea, like pinching in from the sides. Or otherwise just like a bit of like blood splattering on the camera sort of effects. Is sort of what we had loosely discussed. But even things like going down, you know, rather than just sort of dropping down and being in a down state, like actually looking like you're laying down or something, or like you're facing up at the roof, you know, like revising the whole way that sort of every core mechanic works. So those are some things that we're toying with as well. I don't know. Do you remember discussing that? I don't know if I'm remembering that wrong, or if there was something else we'd sort of mentioned there.
I'm not sure. I don't think we've discussed things about that now.
No, maybe it was in a chat as opposed to like on call. But yeah, something in the way of like, maybe not so much like Black Ops 6, how like when you die, there's like that little cutscene at the end, you know, depending on how you died, that cutscene plays. But things like that, where when you go down, like the animation or like what you're seeing as you go down actually changes. I would probably think there's a game that is like a good example of it. I don't know if it's Battlefield, but like when you like die in a mission or something in like in a campaign game, and rather than just sort of dropping down to a prone position, like it looks like your camera falls over almost. Something like that would be cool for that. I would think.
That would hopefully be part of our player animations if we get that working.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of it's a bit jittery. I definitely need to fix this flashlight a bit more on my side with the stops. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of custom elements. Like it's a little bit overwhelming. It sort of makes me glad that I'm not the one who's actually physically handling it all. But I am sort of more or less in charge of the project with Vertigo, so we need to chase up the people to get on top of stuff. It is just a little bit hard. Like everyone's, you know, rightfully got their own stuff they're working on. So it is a little bit hard for, you know, people to prioritize this themselves when it's, you know, not their project ultimately. It's not even my priority right now. Like my priority has been the Interment remaster and the Liberty Falls town thing, and I think you've been working on your project. I won't sort of go into the name and the specifics of it, but you've been working on your project and ultimately been working on the behind the scenes of the BODYCAM stuff, just generally for all the projects that you're dabbling in for it. Yeah, and I know like Fnatic, like he's going to be helping script this one, but he's obviously working on a lot of stuff as well. So both for Throwing Mold, he's working on other stuff for me outside of this. Dingus, you know, he's working on a few things, but he's sort of taken on the role of custom animations for weapons and things like that. Who else? Figglebottom's working on his own stuff. You went down. Or are you prone? I can't tell.
I'm down.
It doesn't have a revive icon, so it's hard to know. Yeah, Figglebottom's going to take a look at some of the custom zombie models. See if I can get to you in time. Oh, that's... like red screened here. One thing I love is the flickering of the light, the sound.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love that.
Anything else?
I don't know. There's probably, that's pretty much most of what we can touch on, at least that I'm remembering.
Yeah, looks like it. I think we pretty much went through everything.
Yeah. I'm just sort of thinking if there's anywhere of the prison that I haven't sort of captured visually for the viewers. I'm pretty sure I've sort of gone most places. You know, I said it earlier, like a lot of what you can see is accessible, but some of it won't be, like in terms of some spots will be non-playable just so that there's zombie spawns and things like that. We just don't have clips or anything going just yet, or at least not in certain spots. So yeah, most of what you see will be playable, but you know, things like this won't be because that's a zombie spawn down there and just little areas like that. So yeah, hopefully you guys are sort of enjoying what you're seeing so far and you're excited to see sort of what the project becomes as we continue to develop it. For me personally, I'm happy to sort of shift my focus back towards this project now. And sort of chase up the other individuals involved. Like I think Vertigo's in the same boat as me right now with that. So yeah, I'm very keen to sort of get it underway. But with that being said, we don't really have anything in the way of like an official timeline or release date or anything like that because it is still so early in progress.
If they want to test my Kilthy mod, you could put my Discord in the description and DM me, and I can...
Yeah, 100%. So
we'll
leave
some
we'll leave links to everything in the description below. So I'll link. So you want your Discord server?
No, just my Discord username.
Oh, username. Yeah. So yeah, we'll put down details below so you guys can reach out to either myself or Vertigo on Discord if you want to discuss that, and whether it be sort of play testing the mod. I'm going to die here again. Play testing the mod, or if you just want to stay up to date with the project, like you can keep up to date with that on my Discord. I'll also have updates about it on my Patreon as well, so you guys can take a look at that if you're interested. But yeah, outside of that, that's pretty much everything that we do have to showcase. I didn't want to dabble too much on the Easter eggs and the side quests and things like that, just due to I want them to be...
No spoilers.
Yeah, I want them to be discovered for the first time. But there will be puzzles and things like that. So like I said, it'll be very, very much more along the lines of Resident Evil-based puzzles and things like that. Okay, so a lot to look forward to. And if you have ideas that you think that would be good, again, leave comment suggestions down below. Or drop them in the Discord if you're part of the Discord server. Anything helps and everything is appreciated. Until then, did you have anything else you wanted to plug at all, Vertigo, or?
Nope, just that I will be doing playtests and having you guys just giving me feedback and some of that good stuff for my kill feed mod. You could just shoot me a DM. I'll have Brodes put in my Discord in the description. And I'll get back to you.
Sounds like a plan. Alrighty. Well, with that being said, guys, we are going to wrap up the video here. If you did enjoy the video and you want to help me get my channel and videos out to the right audience and or to help my channel grow, please consider leaving a like and a comment, as it does help by allowing the YouTube algorithm direct my content to more people like you. In addition, if you'd like to see more content like this, you all know how it works. You can click on that subscribe button down below and keep up to date with all my posted videos. In this instance, this is a development video, so you won't see as much of this as often as you will just see general playthroughs, but all the same. And yeah, if you haven't checked out one of the 2 videos on screen, feel free to do that, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Pussy ass motherfucker.
All right. Bitch ass motherfucker.